Excited to be here. Excited to be here with a couple of our guys that both were starters on a Final Four team and have grown tremendously over the past year. Happy for the media recognizing Chris as one of the better players in a league that, in my opinion, is the best in the country. And then obviously we got two other starters coming back with them too, and Hassani Gravett and Justin Minaya. And then we've added a fifth-year senior grad transfer point guard, and Trey Campbell, who was a starting point guard at Georgetown on an NCAA team, so he gets it. And then a freshman class that I'm extremely excited about. And away we go. We'll see what happens, and every season's different. But I'm real happy with what our team looks like 3 weeks in.
Okay, raise your hand if you have questions for Coach. We'll start out on the right here.
Frankly, you've only been a proponent of the SEC is a great basketball league, and obviously got 18 team league last year. We were in the tournament, just how proud you were of the league, and this year.
Yeah, Dave, I've been saying it for the past 4 years that this league was getting real good, and I said it the year we went to the Final Four. We didn't just like mysteriously wake up and become a good team. Look at what we did in non-conference play, and and then we got in league play, and it was ridiculous how hard it was to win every game, and that we played in the league, and it prepared us for the NCAA tournament. So when the time came, our guys were fearless, and I think you saw the same from Florida that year, and you've continued to see that. And we were a good basketball team last year. Right? Early on, we weren't, but by the end of the year, we're a good basketball team. We just, we lose at overtime at Tennessee. We were up late against Tennessee at home. We can't close the game out. We got Texas Tech dead in the water. Give them credit. That's why they went to the Elite Eight. They figured out a way to get us there inside the last 30 seconds of the game. Go to Mississippi State, lose in overtime. We're a good team. We were that close, and I was real proud of our team last year. I thought we continued to battle, and we became a very good I'm not going to say very good. That's reserved for people in postseason play. But we were a real good basketball team at the end of last year.
In the back, right? Coach, when we had all these kids transferring, there was the word academic was used, and I'm wondering, everything that's happening in New York, college basketball has machines academic. If so, what can be done to
Oh, Mario, when I saw you back there, I kind of had a feeling you weren't here to ask me about how good Chris Silva was. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't know some of the things that go on in the business. It's my job to know. Every walk of life, every industry needs to be audited every once in a while. And this is our audit. And whatever's broken will get fixed. Whoever's not playing, and I'm not into this argument, like I'll use drugs, for example. We all want to sit around and talk about, well, he only did this. Well, it's against the law. Don't do it. Whatever the rules are, people don't like them, change them. Work to change the rules. But the rules are in place, they're in place, and we all need to work underneath or abide by those rules. I'm not into cheating. That's the verbiage I've used and I will continue to use. I'm not into it. I don't sit at home and whine about the people that do, because they're the ones jeopardizing their schools, their families, their assistants, their careers. That's their decision to make in life. I choose not to go in that direction. But this is our audit. Every company needs to be audited every once in a while. We're being audited right now. And what I hope is that whatever the mistakes that are being made, some of the stuff that the public is learning about, that some of us know kind of what's going on, that gets cleaned up. And then the rest of the business, which operates pretty good, it's not as bad as it's made out to be, but there is some stuff that obviously we, myself included, even though I knew some stuff, a lot more stuff is becoming public now, and it's going to continue to become public. I think it's unfortunate, but we're being audited, and that's all it is. We got to sit back, deal with the audit, not point fingers, not blame, let that stuff to kind of take care of itself, and put our arms around a beautiful sport that's brought so much joy to so many people for so many years. And let's fix the problems, build on the good, and continue to move forward.
Second row in the middle, Jerry.
Frank, with Chris and so many guys tested the waters, came back, how is that going to impact, do you think, SEC basketball, the quality of the competition? All those guys coming out.
Yeah, has Cal come up here yet? Thank God, because he usually takes my ideas and then he uses them publicly, and you know, he is Cal, so he gets all the credit for it, you know. But he's been very outspoken about guys testing the waters and being let back in even after the draft. He was big in our board of director meetings on pushing that verbiage to make people understand who's getting hurt. They do it in baseball. You know, heck, in hockey, if you go look at hockey, you pay attention to television. When they speak about a hockey player, they'll say, here's so-and-so playing for the University of so-and-so, property of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Because they're already drafted and signed an agent, and they're already going to play for the Toronto, but they're still playing college sports. So Cal's been very adamant about how important that is, and I think that's a home run for the league, that so many kids were good enough to test the waters, get workouts, get those in-person interviews. They're told directly by general managers the stuff that they have to get better at, which, imagine this, kind of goes hand in hand with what we're telling them. So it reinforces to them that we as college coaches have their best interests in mind. So they come back with an unbelievable enthusiasm to keep working and moving forward. So I think it's awesome that our league had so many guys that were fortunate to get that kind of information passed on to them.
The third row on the right, Jeff.
Outside of saying yes and no, his English has gotten a heck of a lot better, I tell you that. He was new to basketball, not just new to the United States, not just new to South Carolina, he was new to basketball. He just knew that I want to work at this as hard as I can, and I want to try and live out a dream to help my family through the use of the sport and become a better person for it. And that's his beauty. He's never removed himself from that frame of mind. He has not allowed any success, whether it's having an unbelievable NCAA tournament, playing on a Final Four, becoming a defensive player of the year in a league that's real good defensively and in general, becoming a first-team all-conference player, now having you guys vote him preseason, hasn't changed who he is. He's grown a lot as a player. You know, his freshman year, I used to tell him, I said, Chris, listen, man, I'm watching you every day in practice. I'm tired of watching film and have no idea what you're doing. Don't worry about it. Chase the ball. Run as fast as you can. Go after the ball. I'll play you every game. And he did it. And as that year went on, he started getting better with understanding and things of that nature. He took another step his sophomore year. Obviously, he took another step his junior year. And here's where I get excited, because I go on track record. I'm a big believer that I go on past experiences on how to manage individuals that are similar to people before them. You can go back to my K-State days, or you can just go back to the 6 years of South Carolina. You saw a lot of Chris Silva and Michael Carrera as freshmen. Michael Carrera left like an unbelievably good player his senior year. Obviously, he was a first-team all-league player. You go on and look at Sindarius. Sindarius came in as a freshman that was a good player, and he left as player of the year in this conference for a Final Four basketball team. So I see the growth that those guys had, but I knew who they were as people in private. Chris is like that. Same work ethic, same desire, what drives those guys is to please others, not to gain fame. And that's what's fun about Chris. He's never deviated from that.
Okay, second row on the right, Bob.
Ooh.
He seems like the highest projected guy. Probably would have gone pretty high. What do you think of his skill set? What does it mean for?
Ooh, wow. He's real good. I'm a huge fan of Daniel Gafford. I saw him do things on the court last. Not too many people outrun Chris. Chris was like huffing and puffing to keep up with Daniel. Runs like the wind, strong, long. Credit to Mike and his staff. That kid kept getting better as the year went on. Like when the year started, he was just kind of a runner rebounder. By the end of the year, he'd become an offensive problem for people to deal with too. I'm happy. Some people are like, well, why didn't he go? I'm happy that that young man is at a place where the culture around him is so good that he didn't want to leave it, wanted to stay there and continue to grow. Because I saw the growth as an opposing coach. He's a problem. He's one of those guys that whenever January gets here and we're starting to worry about conference play, I'm gonna sit at home and lose a lot of sleep when I know we got to, line up and play against him.
You're in the front row in the middle.
Not at all. Not at all. Rick's probably not going to be happy I'm going to say this, but I'm happy. If you watch his Tennessee teams play right now, Rick was one of the coaches that when I was in high school, I used to watch his teams at Clemson and Providence, his early teams at Texas, the aggression that they played with, the defensive mentality, the way they rebounded. I was a big fan of watching his teams play. At the end of his time in Texas there, I didn't think his teams played that way. And Rick has been one of the guys in this business that for no reason, for no reason, I have no idea why. The day I got named head coach, he was one of the first people to call me. And it's not like he and I had an unbelievable relationship. First people to call me and offer to help right away. He's one of the good dudes in this business. I'm not surprised. When Tennessee hired him, I immediately knew that just a matter of time before Tennessee was going to be a problem for everyone in the league, and so I'm not surprised.
Far right, second row. How far back does your relationship with Tony Pujols go, and what kind of job do you feel like you'll do as
Yeah, I got a Tony Pujols story for you. We're both from the same neighborhood, and he starts coaching at a small little private school in our neighborhood, and I coached at the big high school, public school in our neighborhood. And we end up coaching AAU basketball together. And we're playing at 9 a.m. We had just played like at 10 p.m. or something the night before. And back then, my social habits were different than they are now. I kind of stayed out for a little while with the fellas. And so now it's early in the morning, and he's my assistant coach. On the first play of the game, one of our guards who played for him in high school gets fouled. Referee doesn't call anything. He starts yelling, runs on the court. So he gets teched up. I said, don't come back over here. Go get yourself another one and go back to bed, but don't come over here and talk to me anymore today. And but he's great. Tremendous pride, unbelievable character, incredible with players, unbelievable relationship, works, family man. I think I was so happy for him when he called and he said that he had been offered the job. I was so happy for him. I'm fortunate that I get to call him a friend. He's that kind of a human being.
Here on the left side, third row.
Yeah.
Find that closer, that Sindarius type player that you search for all year. It's a little difficult with Chris playing in the post. Where are you now? Is that one of those things where you can kind of develop as the season goes on?
Yeah. Chris just has to be better, at those moments, plain and simple. Whether you play the whether you play the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, you can be the closer. You just got to be better at it. And Chris was at a place last year where he was still growing into becoming the feature player, dealing with the attention, double teams, over help, things of that nature. And he got better at it as the year went on. What hurt us last year was our point guard play was inconsistent. So offensively, when the game gets hard at the end against those kind of NCAA caliber teams, you have to make the right decision offensively and defensively, and we had breakdowns with that. And it wasn't guys that are incapable; they were just doing it for the first time. So Sonny was like a guy came off the bench as a sophomore and played major minutes for that basketball team on the Final Four run. But now he went from just being a supplemental guy to being the guy who has to make every decision on both ends of the floor. And he grew a lot from that experience. Drove me nuts, but he grew a lot. And we can look at it two ways. One of the reasons that by the end of the year we were that close against those kind of teams is because of his growth as a player. But it just wasn't quite good enough. When you're dealing with Tennessee, they're two guards. You know, they've both been starters for 3 years at those spots. Texas Tech, everyone knows what that guard, I can't remember, I can't remember his name right now. He was unbelievable, four-year starter for him. So we just ran into teams that had like unbelievable experience at the point guard spot, and they were, I don't want to say more under control, but they had better balance emotionally for those moments of the games that we did. But we all grew because of that.
Here next is back in the television cameras.
Kentucky was picked to win the SEC. It's kind of strange to see a Kentucky team with a grad transfer and two sophomores that had minutes last year come back. What are your thoughts on Kentucky and kind of having some unique experience this year?
Yeah, anyone that, you know, sometimes I joke, but I say a lot of stuff that I say what I mean. I'll joke, but I say what I mean. I don't try to hide stuff from anybody. Cal doesn't get the credit he deserves for what he does every year with a brand new team. He does not get the credit he deserves. Now, if you sat Cal in a room by himself and you said to him, you can have your real good freshmen become sophomores, he'd say, I'll take it every time. You know, I'll take it every time. Because think about the job that he does with those kids when they come in as freshmen and who they are at the end of their freshman year. Imagine keeping them for another year. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. And, you know, Reed Travis, I've watched him play. He's a good player. Adding him is going to be tremendous for those young kids that Kentucky has and their growth. But every time Cal's had experienced guys coming back, it's been a problem for everybody. And he's got experience coming back this year.
Here, last question right here on the left, front row.
Coach, I know you added Trey Campbell as a fifth-year graduate transfer. What are your thoughts on graduate transfers and how it's kind of changed the landscape of basketball?
Yeah, it's spring recruiting has completely changed from what it was 5 years ago. Not just because of the grad transfer, but kind of what Myron referred to earlier, like the epidemic of transferring. I use epidemic when you're talking about illness. You know, that means something's not good. I got no problem with transferring. I don't think transferring is a bad thing. Divorce is legal in this country, so why would transferring not be okay? You know, it is what it is. But bottom line is, over the last 4 years, probably we've had an average of 770, 80 transfers a year. That opens up a lot of scholarships in the spring. The grad transfer deal, I got no problem with it. It's kids get their college degrees, you know, they choose to move, you know. Here's what I would do. If I was at a smaller school, I wouldn't, you know, and I had one of those guys that had a possibility, this is how crazy it is. You probably have to sit back and wonder about trying to graduate them before their last year of eligibility. Probably, you know, give them the summer off or something so they don't graduate. Because they're going to get up and leave, you know, and it's unfortunate. But I don't have – spring recruiting is a different dynamic than it was 5 years ago.
And when you're looking at a kid, you have a certain culture I know you look for in South Carolina. When you're evaluating a Trey Campbell, how do you do your due diligence to make sure he fits in with your program?
Well, big part of it for me, see, he never played for Patrick in the new regime at Georgetown. He redshirted that year. But previous to that, playing for JT3, one of the biggest things for me is that he was willing to accept structure as a player. That's why he was a starter for him. You know, JT3, they played a certain way. He whether they liked it or not privately or whatever, bottom line is that young man played in that structure and was a starting player on a team that went to the NCAA tournament. So he must have bought into structure. I'm big on structure, going to class, community service, the way we practice, the way we watch film. It's not just show up and let's hoop. I'm big on structure, and that made me feel that he'd be a good fit. And we haven't played a game yet, but up to this point, he's been a real good fit. Thank you.